On Earth, there are over 2 million species, but what makes humans different to the rest? Although we may look similar, eat similar food, like similar music, clothes and people, no two people are the same. The characteristics that we use to respond to stimuli is what makes up our personality. Over the next 10 minutes, I want to explore the personality spectrum that spans from introversion to extroversion, and hope to get a better understanding about how our lives can be shaped by our personalities. In 460 BC, a philosopher named Hippocrates suggested that physical and mental health was determined by a good balance of 4 bodily humours. These humours were associated with one of 4 elements and determined the temperament of a person. Fast forward 2,400 years to the 20th century, where German psychologist Hans Eysenck developed a description of personalities called the Penn model, also known as the 3-factor theory. This table explains how the Penn model is linked to the temperament described by Hippocrates. As much as personality can be influenced by certain environmental factors, I'm really interested in biological explanations for introversion and extroversion. Take this example of a railway worker named Finnish Gage. One day after a dynamite explosion, a 3'7" trampoline drove straight through his eyes and up the left-hand side of his skull, severely damaging his prefrontal cortex, in this area shown here. Amazingly, Finnish had survived, with no severe damages. However, as time went on, his family and friends noticed that he became indecisive, arrogant, stubborn, and uncaring for others. This tragic yet pivotal case study shows that the brain plays a vital role in forming our personalities. More recent research shows that introverts and extroverts use different pathways in the brain to respond to social situations. This diagram shows a pathway which uses the neurotransmitter acetylcholine and is mostly associated with introverts, whereas this diagram shows a pathway which uses dopamine and is mostly associated with extroverts.
Someone who's quite sort of outgoing, not very shy, someone who's quite confident really, and not afraid to put their point across. They're quite full of themselves.
Mm-hmm. An extrovert, somebody who's forwardly outgoing, who actively seeks to be in the limelight.
Tends to be gregarious and we'll talk about personal things.
Extrovert, someone who's outgoing, someone who likes the attention of other people, wants to be the centre of attraction. Mm-hmm. So I would call that an extrovert.
Loud, outgoing, theatrical.
Somebody that doesn't like to be outgoing and sociable and in big crowds of people.
Okay.
Introvert maybe wouldn't be as confident chatting to people that they don't know, perhaps.
Probably slightly more reserved, not outgoing.
Yeah.
Someone who internalises things and is quite quiet often. Looks in themselves for answers and meanings.
Quiet, inward-looking, shy, possibly a bit unexpressive.
So now we've established the differences between introverts and extroverts. How do these personality types affect some of the most important aspects of our lives? Let's start with education. Most of us spend around 12 years of our lives in compulsory education. With those who go on to further and higher education, this number can vary from 14 to 20 years. Many studies have found that extroverts strive better in primary education, whereas introverts do better in secondary education. But when it comes to intelligence, it seems that neither introversion or extroversion plays any role. I talked to an A-level teacher to find out about their opinion. Do you think secondary school learning is geared towards someone who's an extrovert or an introvert, or do you think it's quite balanced in the way teaching is?
It's a really good question, actually. I'd say it would depend on the teachers. I think as an establishment, secondary school teaching in Britain is probably... it's tricky. I think the school system's geared towards extroverts because up until recently, I think most teachers use the policy of whoever knows the answer says the answer, supports the extrovert, but then the exam system probably doesn't differentiate. Yeah. No, I think the balance is necessary in a teaching class. You have a class full of introverts, it's really dull. A class full of extroverts and it's just a little bit out of control. So you need that balance. But the key thing is obviously to tap into the way that child wants to learn. Ooh, God, yeah, right, you're making my mind think here. It's a tricky one because you have theories like an extrovert child will do a lot more exploring than an introvert child. And if you go on the basis that most of our cognitive abilities develop in early infants, then an extrovert child, its brain capabilities will develop more than an introvert child. So it's a bit of a tricky question. Based on theoretical work, then you'd have to lean towards an extrovert being more intelligent. Based on personal experiences, you've got both, haven't you? I can think of some of my most intelligent friends, classic introverts, some of my most intelligent classic extroverts. I'd probably, not to ruin your study, I'd probably say it's not that simple.
Work. Work is a fundamental part of our lives and it can provide us with so much. What I want to know is, do our personalities affect our career pathways? And in this increasing state of unemployment, my burning question is, does being an introvert or an extrovert affect our employability? I asked the general public for their opinions.
It all depends on the job you're going for. If you're going for somebody like who's customer service, you need to be an extrovert. You need to be able to talk to people, understand people, get on with people. If you're going to be working from home, you can be an extrovert. You ain't going to meet anybody else. It's just you and your PC. So it all depends on what type of job you're going for.
I think it depends what the job is. In most situations, probably it's better to be an extrovert.
Why do you think that?
Because for most jobs you have to do interviews. Interviews are, you need to be quite willing to make conversation, talk openly with people and express yourself confidently. So if you're an extrovert, you're probably more practiced at that.
I guess it would depend on what job you do. I mean, if you were, say, working in a library, maybe sort of being introverted would be okay. Obviously, if you were like working in retail or something, or I think it depends really whether you how much contact you have with people.
I think it's more beneficial if you're an introvert or an extrovert. Or do you think it doesn't really matter?
Oh, it does matter. I think it's part of the personality, and you need a whole variety of people within the workplace to give a balance. You know, a leader will probably be an extrovert, but somebody who makes sure that everything happens may be an introvert.
I'd say that there's opportunities for both in different areas. I'd say that if you're in a company, it's probably good to know who you are and to try and exploit that. So if you're an introvert, you want to be someone who's quite skilled, capable of, of doing good work and being right behind the scenes. Sort of making sure that you're there to be seen every so often, to be someone of value. And I guess as an extrovert, you'd be someone who's good at selling or pitching ideas, communicating outwardly, to other companies or things like that. So probably opportunities for both.
I haven't really decided whether I think it's better to be an introvert or an extrovert, but I've realised that a lot of people choose to place themselves on the centre of the introvert-extrovert scale, and so people have overlapping traits and it makes it hard to define the two. Another key thing I've realised is that everyone suits different environments, and that one glove doesn't really fit all. We kind of all search for our tailor-made glove, and that it's fine to be different, and everyone suits different environments. But I'll leave you with this quote and encourage you to form your own view on introversion and extroversion.